we are doing the economic growth and development. Now we are going to do the part 3. The topic is characteristics of developing economies with special reference to India. Okay, we have 10 side headings over here, children. Okay, it's in page number 21. Okay, when we go with the characteristics of developing economies, developing means we have 3 types of categorization: developed, developing and underdeveloped. When you say it's a developing, means like example like India, Pakistan and some other countries will come under your developing, China and all come under your developing economies. Economy is nothing but a country. Okay, economy is nothing but a country. Economies, when you talk about it, first year we studied economies are nothing but the benefits. So now we are going to see the characteristics of developing economies with special reference to our country India. The side headings are, first one is your low level of income. First one is your low level of income. So let us first discuss with the low level of income. The per capita NNP in India in the year 1955 to 56 was only about rupees 9,300, and in 2012 and 13 it has increased to 22,000. Means as it is in the developing stage, the per capita NNP day by day it is increasing. And when we compare to the present data of 2020, it is about to increase of 26,000, and it is expected in 2022,000 is expected for 30,000 per capita NNP. Among the 133 countries of the world, India's rank is 110. It means that there are 109 countries of the world which have higher per capita income than India. We have many countries, but our rank is how much? 110. Means above 110, 109 is the other least number, which 109 countries are the above. Low level of income indicates a low standard of living. See, obviously we know that when the income is low, our standard of living also will be low. So when we increase our income, then automatically our standard of living will also increase. That is low level of consumption. So when you have low income, low standard of living and low consumption, so automatically GDP NNP per capita NNP will have, what happens? It will be in a lower level. Okay. Where whatever progress has been made in terms of increase in production since independence, the same is not reflected in increase in per capita income because of rapid growth of population along with the growth of production. So we need to concentrate over your children. Okay, after independence, lot of development have taken, a lot of changes. We have given importance to science, technology, education, many other concepts we are giving importance. But what is happening here? The main drawback in our country is what? Everything is developing, but population is also increasing along with it. By that, what happened? The NNP, GDP NNP is coming down. Means how much ever production we are doing, it is not sufficient for the growing population. So once we control population and then we increase your GDP NNP, we will try to increase. Then there is a chance of coming our developing stage into a developed stage. But our main drawback in our India, what is happening is population is growing day by day. That is why how much ever we are working hard, how much ever we are doing production and giving importance to all other sectors and all, but as the population is increasing, that is not being sufficient for the growing population. So that is the main drawback in our country. The population has also increased rapidly. This means that a large proportion of population have income level much below the average. So when you take all the population on an average, the average income of the people is being reduced. It's average. Okay. For instance, in India, about 1/3 of the population is living below the poverty line. So when you take 1/3, when you take a big circle and out of that, when you take 1/3 means, okay, 1/3 of the population, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1/3 of the population are living under the poverty line. That is, they are not able to afford even the minimum nutrition required. Means as the income is low, okay, then automatically the subsistence level also will be low. Okay, the standard of living also will be low, and minimum requirements also they are not able to fulfill due to the low level of living, and the efficiency of labor is also low. So we have lot of labor people, but the efficiency is day by day decreasing only because of the low level of income. Why? Because we don't have minimum subsistence level of living. When you don't have proper food, no proper nutritious food, then what happens? The energy levels of the people also will be low. When energy levels are low, then you don't get a efficient product from the particular person. He will not produce a efficient product, or whatever the quality of product would be missing. So that is the main drawback in India. These are the first characteristics of developing economy in India is your low level of income. Next, predominance of agriculture. Predominance. Okay, what second characteristic feature is what? Predominance of agriculture. Okay, what do you mean predominance? Means pre means the first. Dominant means playing a very important role. So we are giving more importance to agriculture. As we know, we have three sectors, children: agriculture sector, industrial sector, and tertiary sector. That is nothing but primary, secondary, and tertiary. Right? So the population living in India, we are focusing more on agriculture. We are giving more priority to agriculture. So when we give more priority to agriculture, that is called as predominance of agriculture. Let us see what he has given. About 2/3 of the India's workforce engaged in the agriculture. Out of the whole, 2/3 of the population are in the they are concentrating on agriculture sector. The contribution of agriculture to national income is about 19%. So whatever the GDP what we are getting from the agriculture sector is how much? 19%. It is contributing from the agriculture. As against, this is the contribution of agriculture to the national income in most of the developed countries is about only 2 to 4%. Means in developed countries when you compare, we are contributing how much? 19% from agriculture to the national income. Whereas in developed countries it's only 2 to 4%. Means what do you understand by that? Means rest of the percentage they are getting from the industrial sector and tertiary sector. Means they are well developed in the secondary sector and tertiary sector, and from agriculture they are only contributing how much? 2 to 4% only, not much. Okay, and the maximum of the portion is contributed from the industrial sector and tertiary sector, and whereas in India we are contributing 19% we are contributing from the agriculture sector. I mean, that means indirectly we can understand over here, mean we are giving more importance to agriculture, less importance to industry and service sector. When we compare with the developed countries, from agriculture sector they are contributing only 2 to 4%, and the remaining are coming from the industrial and service sector. That means they are well developed countries, and they are giving more priority to industry and service sector. And working force engaged in agriculture is about between only 2 to 9% in developed countries. Rainfall is the main source of irrigation, and the technology used in agriculture traditional in nature and modernization is slowly taking place. So in India, where we are saying that we are giving more importance to agriculture, agreed, fine. But what is the irrigation facilities? What do you mean by irrigation first? The water supplied for agriculture purpose is called as irrigation. Okay, I repeat again, what do you mean irrigation? Irrigation is nothing but the water supplied for the agriculture purpose is called as irrigation. But in our India, we don't have much irrigation facilities. We have to depend only on God, that is your rainfall. So when you have a good rainfall, then you have good productivity in agriculture. When there is no rainfall or heavy rainfall, it will be reverse. It will be difficult for a farmer for living also, and for subsistence living also it will become very difficult for a farmer. And what are the technology we are using in agriculture? We are going a traditional method, mean old, outdated and Purana techniques we are using in the agriculture. That is also our production is very low in agriculture. Okay, now slowly modernization is starting, but still we need to have more. When you compare with the developed countries, they are using a lot of more technology is used in the agriculture. We are using only combined harvester and drip irrigation, simple techniques we are using. But when you compare with the developed countries, they are much further than us. Although in some areas modern techniques of cultivation are in application, still vast agriculture area used in primitive techniques of cultivation. Only we are using modern technology, I agree, but only in few areas and few centers on they are doing. but the other remaining all of the area, whatever the cultivated area, when you take into consideration, they are going with the primitive techniques only. A vast area of agricultural land is still not covered by the irrigation facility. And apart from that vast of the area, what we are seeing in agriculture, they are not getting proper irrigation facilities at all. Okay. The third point is your capital deficiency. Capital deficiency. Okay, capital is nothing but what, children? Money. Capital plays a very, very important role in the development. But that is only less with us. The low level of income results in low level of saving. When you will save, children, when you have more income, we will fulfill all our needs, right? Once we fulfill all our needs, then the remaining amount what left with us, then that will we will save, right? Yes or no? But here what is happening? Whatever the income what we are getting, that is only very low. Okay, to fulfill our basic necessities only, that income is not sufficient. Where is the question of saving? There is no question of saving at all. Okay, you are getting my point, right? So here the low level of income results in low level of saving, which results in low level of capital formation. So there is no capital formation at all in India. Okay, and for want of capital, other resources like labor and natural resources remain unutilized. So we have labor, we have very good labor in India. We have what happened, resources are there, but there is no capital to utilize them in a proper way. There is no money at all. Then how can we use the resources? How can we use the manpower? So when you use the manpower, we need to give money in return to them, right? There is no money. So we have all the labor or the people, population, it is unused by a country. So India has a large potential of renewable as well as non-renewable resources. The country is not able to utilize them fully for the want of capital. So we have renewable resources and non-renewable, but we are not able to use them in a perfect way. So that is a major characteristics of being our country still in a developing stage. Coming to your fourth point is your technological backwardness. Okay, technological backwardness. In large parts of almost all the sectors of Indian economy, technology used in production is very backward. We are using technology, but we are not going with the modern technology. We are using the old methods. The expenditure incurred on research and development is also low. So whatever the amount we are spending on research and development, that is also very low. We need to invest more on research and development, but we are not doing that. Advanced technology is used in few industries only. We are using advanced, but only very, very few industries we are using. So technologically we are very, very backward. Okay, coming to the fifth point, children, now here it is inadequate infrastructure facilities. Okay, infrastructure facilities, fifth point. So what do you mean by infrastructural facilities? Already I have told in many classes. Okay, electricity, roads, water facility, transportation, schools, colleges, government schools, colleges, okay, and police station. These are all the facilities provided by the government to the general public is called as infrastructure facility. Basically we take the transportation, okay, first one, and your electrification, water supply, okay, medical facilities, these all come under your infrastructure. So infrastructure facility currently include power, transport and communication. Okay, we include what? Power, transport and communication. These facilities are essential for the industrial development of the country. They also affect the development of agriculture and service sector. All these facilities are inadequate. So what are the three factors? The power, okay, transport and communication. These all three are very, very inadequate in our country. So because of that also we are still in the developing stage. So next we go with your sixth point, that is your high rate of growth of population. High growth rate of the population. Already in the first point I told you, when we have low income, low per capita income, low level of income means why it is low? Why? Because population is growing day by day. We need to control the population. That is a major drawback of a country. So India's population is very high. That is 121 crores as per 2011 census. It is raising at a rate of 1.84 per annum. Every year it is increasing. Since 1971, when the development process was fixed, the birth rate has declined very slow, while the death rate declined faster. A high rate of population puts additional pressure on resources. In a such situation, the increase in per capita income will be much less than the increase in the total production. That is your national income. Means the current rate of growth of population in India economy is high level when compared with the negative rates of zero rates experienced by European and other developed countries. So main gist of the point here is, okay, fine, we are developing, we are trying to increase our income levels, okay, we are improving all the other sectors and all, fine, we are trying to do. But what is happening here? For the growing population, whatever the development is taking place, that is insufficient. That is insufficient. So main criteria or main purpose, main character, what we have to do here is, we have to reduce your population. How that is possible? When people are educated, they will be knowing the upbringing of the children when they are working, okay, the income levels, giving all the facilities to the children. When you think in that way, like when you shift your attitude from the agriculture to industry and service sector, automatically the attitudes of the people will change, and population we will concise, we can concise the population size. Next point is the 7th point, that is high rate of illiteracy. Okay, literacy means having education or being educated. When you say illiteracy means opposite, means many of not having the knowledge about the education or not having the facilities, or who are not not educated. Not educated means illiterate. Okay, illiteracy rate is quite high in our country, although it has declined subsequently since 1951. Yes, after 1951, slowly illiteracy has reduced, and more of preference was given to education, and people started knowing what the importance of education, and it's still very high. Illiteracy rate is in females much higher than in males. Again here you have a gender bias. Okay, you have males, they are giving education, for female they are not giving education, and it is also one of the characters of developing countries. So high rate of illiteracy is also another characteristics of your developing country like India. So okay, fine, in cities and all, some particular towns and major metropolitan cities and all, we don't have much gender bias, but we have certain states we have lot of gender bias, and still there will be more preference to male child and male education, but they are not giving importance to the female education. So once this particular gender bias is avoided, then slowly we can increase the literacy rate. Then another point is your 8th point, high infant mortality rate. When you say a high infant mortality rate, already in previous chapters I told, okay, if 1000 children are taking birth in particular year, so how many children are dying within 1 year of the age they get, so that is called an infant mortality rate. So the number of deaths of infants of less than 1 year of age per 1000 live births in India is very high. This shows that inadequate medical facilities, low level of nutrition, and poor and sanitary conditions. So we have high infant mortality rates. Means I told you, if 1000 children are being born, out of that how many are dying within the 1 year of, it's called infant mortality rate. That is very high in our country. Why? Because there is no proper education, there is no proper nutritious food, and they don't have accessibility of medical facility. Because of the 3 factors, children are dying. This the second last point, that is your 9th point, that is tradition bound attitudes towards work and life. So the ninth point is what? Tradition bound attitude toward the work and life. So the Indian society is divided into many caste and subcaste, resulting in fictitious in the society. And the religions and social beliefs and custom to certain extent inhabit the development of scientific attitudes. Means here the attitudes of the people are not changing. When it will change? One, you are more acquainted to education. Okay, when the reality, when you are more close to science and technology, then automatically what happens? Our attitude will change. That is, which is related to education again. But here, as we said that we have high rate of illiterates, we said. So automatically what happens here? The attitudes of the people will not change. So they're still going with what? The traditional bound attitudes. Like having a male boy in the family is compulsory, they feel, okay, and they're giving less preference to your girl child. And why girl child needs education? Okay, she has to get married to at particular age, and she did not stay with the parents for a longer time. Okay, they feel a girl child as a burden. This all why they feel? Because of their attitude, because of their thinking levels, which will not change. Why they are not changing? Why? Because they are not educated. So once education is there, when the girl child also feel that it's equal, and equal importance is given to girl and boy. I mean, they don't feel any burden, because once she grows big and once she get into a job, she also start earning. She has her own living. This all attitude will change. But what's happening here? The maximum number of people are illiterate, so their attitudes are still, they go with the traditional attitude bound attitudes are there towards your work, it could be, or towards your life it could be. So that is also a major reason for India being still in a developing stage. Coming to your last point, children, the 10th point, that is your joint family system. So in India we find many of your joint family systems. Joint family system obstruct mobility of labor. Mobility means moving. Labor means we people. So mobility of labor they will not encourage. Okay. Families prefer to live together even if they may be having a low level of living. Even though they have low level of living, they feel that we have to stay together jointly. Then only we will get strength kind of. Even though their income levels are very low, they want to stay in a joint. The nuclear family system is taking its roots slowly. Okay, when you take the present situation, now many families, joint families are forming into a nuclear family. Okay, they are split into and they are forming a nuclear family. And in spite of structural constraints, the Indian economy is experiencing a socio-economic change. Okay, so much of changes are taking place, structural changes are taking place, but the socio-economic changes also taking place. The per capita income has increased through, not at a very fast rate. Even though we have so many characteristics which are being India being a developing country, but when you compare with the present day situation, per capita income is increasing and slowly we are giving importance to education. Okay, right? And attitudes are changing. Okay, development in all the sectors are taking place. Okay, government is also investing on different sectors and education, health facilities and etc. However, the rate of development has been relatively slower because of high growth rate of population. Everything is increasing, but the major problem is population, children. That has to be controlled first. Currently, India is categorized as a developing economy. The process of development is slowly picking up in the post-globalization phase. Means after the 1961, once the globalization as new industrial policy, globalization has taken place. Okay, in 2000 and a lot of changes we are seeing. Okay, so here we can expect that India would be after 20 years or 10 years, it may come to the developed stage, because whatever changes we are seeing, with that change we can say that our GDP, NNP, our infant mortality rate will reduce, okay, literacy will improve, okay, development is taking place, science and technology is improving. With these aspects we can say that India in a faster range, it is day by day it is increasing. This is the end of your first chapter, children. Thank you. Share and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you.